Hi all. So this is going to be a quick introduction to websites, and I'm going to actually recommend that you all use Cargo. The reason being that we are able to provide you with a code, a student program code, that will get you a full year of um, free cargo site usage. I don't want to call it registration because that is actually a separate thing. So you normally have to pay to get a .com or whatever whatever um, site. So you'll want to do that. You'll need to register that. And I don't know if Cargo will do that for you. I use Bluehost, and they're one of the least expensive for registering a domain. It's going to be probably 10 or 12 bucks for a year, and you pay that once a year on as long as you want that site. So what Cargo normally would be is it's your server space, meaning where your files get stored on the internet so people can access them. And that's normally $9 a month. Um, and so we're saving you that $9 a month basically. And that's usually the biggest factor for students on whether they keep a website long term or not is the cost. Because a lot of places will make you pay the full year all at one time. I have it set up, and I let Cargo, and I use Cargo myself. I have it set up, and it just charged me $9 a month on my credit card. Other sites, you pay the full 140 or whatever, 110, 100 and I don't know, whatever, 100, roughly $100 all at once. And that really discourages a lot of students from doing that. So anyway, this will save you that monthly cost. You'll just have the one time or once a year cost of the the domain registration. So Cargo is one of many, many different sites. A lot of students use Squarespace because it's traditionally the most user friendly, although I can really kind of walk you through and give you exact details of how you could do things on Cargo since I use it myself. There's Wix, there's um, gosh, there's so many that I can't remember them, but the Wix and Squarespace and Cargo are probably the most popular. And this is to design your website. Now, anyone that knows HTML coding and wants to design their own website could skip this and just go straight into coding and putting their website on a server. Um, and I pay through Bluehost a it's an annual fee, but it breaks down to be $5-10 a month basically to have server space. So I kind of pay twice when I don't need to. But you could pay for one or the other is I guess what I'm saying. Um, Slightly less cost usually if you HTML code it yourself. And there are ways that you could connect a computer to the internet and actually host it on your own server. And then you just have the cost of the actual server or the computer. But that's a little more complicated than what most students are going to get into. So I'm happy to talk about that more with someone if they want more details of that. So let's get into Cargo. So Cargo, we're going to go ahead and click on get started for free. It's cargo.site. And when we go in here, you'll be able to see there's many different designs. And these are basically I guess it would be the CSS. I don't know any other, as far as I got in web coding was HTML and CSS, but basically what you're paying for is the design, which is the code that kind of lays things out and helps you kind of make it look nice. So there's got to be a good 100 in here. And I'm just going to go with this one here that I think will work well. Being a photographer, this would probably be a nice layout for my work, is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. I could show you what I actually use versus this and why I like what I use and why I have it set up that way. But maybe we can kind of talk about the pluses and minuses of this as we go through. So this will give you kind of your idea of what a page might look like or what the whole website might look like. Notice the navigations across the top. I assume that if you do multiple projects, they come in here and then the contact page is set up in there. Some websites have the info on the left or the right bar or other things. let's just go ahead and click on what it would look like on a cell phone. So that's kind of a nice preview, be able to see that versus on a desktop. And if we like the website, we can go ahead and click on start with this template. Now just know that some templates or this site might, I tried to open it previously in my Firefox program and it's out of date. So it just completely crashed and it wouldn't let me do anything. So if you have any trouble, just, do that. Change browsers. It'll give you some guidance. So it's going to have you enter your email address and backup email address, password. You're essentially creating an account now. Okay. So this is where you're going to have a domain name registered already. So you'll want to go and register. And briefly, I should kind of talk about what is sort of the norm. Most students do their name, but depending on what field you're in, that may or may not make sense. So, for example, if you're planning to have an art career, you normally don't use a brand. Your name becomes your brand, right? So my website is natematthews.com. But we've had plenty of students do other things, like if they're multidisciplinary, maybe it's, or I guess maybe particularly if you're like a designer, it might make sense too. But to do like, instead of Nate Matthews, do Matthews Studio, or maybe you have a studio name in mind rather than using your actual name. So it's kind of up to you, but it should be something that makes sense to you as an artist or a designer or a photographer or whatever your area is. And so I've, like, for example, there's been a lot of students that do, I think it was like Megan Taylor ceramics or ceramicist or something of that sort. So, whatever you think is appropriate, but, just don't make it like something really weird that would, not hint at what you do. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to enter. Well, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute in order to enter some of this so that it's secure, and I'll come back.